I'm going to introduce you to Chris Carson. You may have seen him right about there. Yes, right there. Right? Chris Carson has been developing games since 2001 under the studio label GameSare. Did I pronounce that right? No, I didn't. Okay.
Nobody does.
Nobody does. Well, I will let you pronounce it correctly. Chris Carson has published 20 titles for PC, iOS, and Android. He also serves as a VP of U.S. operations for ClickTeam, LLC, the company behind the development tool ClickTeam Fusion. Currently working on Tic Tac Tower. And, not to mention, for anybody who has watched this stream, Noble Armada. That's another game here developed here in Georgia by GGDA, our good host GGDA, Andrew Greenberg and his team, and then also Bit Odyssey. All right. Let's see. Did I miss anything else? No, I think I can hush now. Chris, you about ready to take over the show? Let's show them your face. Here we go. Hi, Chris. Everybody run, hide, no, don't, hush. All right, my microphone is going to be active this whole time, so as questions and comments come in, I will be able to tell you them. So, Chris, the show is yours. Take it away.
Okay. Well, hello, everyone. My name's Chris. As he had mentioned, I'm with my own studio, which is GameSare Studios. It's a horrible name, but 17 years ago, boy, do we age quick. That's what I came up with, and unfortunately, my creativity has grown since then, and I would like to change it, but, 17 years, you might as well keep it, right? Also, VP of U.S. Operations for ClickTeam, which is the company that produces, as he mentioned, Fusion. You may have heard of it before in one of its other names, like Click and Play, Click and Create, The Games Factory, Multimedia Fusion. God willing, the third version will come out, and we'll just call it Fusion, because multimedia sounds like it's from the 90s, and ClickTeam just sounds kind of silly. So I was asked if I wouldn't mind showing off Tic Tac Tower. It's something I've been working on for a couple months. At my last job near the end of the employment, I worked at our office. We had a really cool office. It was in the Bakersfield airport, the business section. My office actually had a window that looked out right into the hangar, and I could see all the cool planes that came in there. We had a NASA plane that was doing mapping at one point in there. That was kind of cool. And I had to walk all the way through the hangar to get to the restroom, because Bakersfield doesn't seem to really understand how to design hallways or things of that nature. So while in the restroom, having a break, if you will, I was looking at the floor, and I noticed it was tiled, and it kind of looked like a tic-tac-toe tile. But, there was more squares. But 9 of the squares was making a tic-tac-toe grid, and I just, while sitting there thinking, said, well, I could make a game out of that. Now, I know that's a weird place to have game inspiration, but as a developer, I would say to all my other fellow developers, always be open to inspiration. You never know where it's going to come from. It may actually come from an airport bathroom. You don't know. So if you guys want, I'll go ahead and show you Fusion. So I'm going to take off my ugly mug real quick here and share my desktop. So, Brian, can you see my desktop?
I see your desktop. I see me. Again.
Okay, great. So let's hide
Look,
you.
I see 3 of me. There we go. All right, let's get rid of them.
Here's our Facebook page. But let me pull up Fusion real quick here. And so Thursday, I'll go over a little bit more about Fusion. If you guys have questions while we're here, let me know. But I'm going to just run the application from within Fusion. So Tic Tac Tower, let's just start the game. So it is designed for mobile. We're looking for iOS and Android releases, and possibly the Windows 10 mobile platform, so we can sell copies of our game to the 6 actual phones that run the Windows that are out there in the world. So we got our Orcopedia, and notice that these are just a few of the actual monsters, but we got a an orc, an ooze, and an org. Okay, make sure that you understand that. Orc, ooze, ogre, rather. And now we're gonna play. Now here's the Hall of Knights. This is where you'll select your player. The game is going to be unfortunately freemium. It's been my experience that in the mobile market, to make any money, you've got to go freemium. I'm not a fan of freemium. I don't like the whole idea of freemium, but I got to eat too. So it's going to be freemium. Sir Xandor with an X will be the first character that you automatically get to play with. But with a swipe, you can switch through some of the others like Sir Xavier, Sir Xerxes, Xandra, Dame Xena, and finally, I don't even know how to pronounce that. Anybody got a good guess on how to pronounce that? Z. But I don't know if you've noticed, but everybody's first name starts with an X, and everybody's monster starts with an O. Has anyone put it together yet? Tic Tac Tower, X's and O's.
Applause.
Okay. All right. That took a little long. But anyways, so I pick my character, and then we go to the world map. And we'll start off and show you the stone tower. So Xandor here, he huffs it to the tower. Now, the object of the game is to get to the stairs, and unfortunately, my random generation algorithm needs a little tweaking because the stairs are already there. So for the purpose of this demonstration, let's ignore the stairs for a second. So it looks like a regular tic-tac-toe grid, and I've already selected the center. So if I wanted to move my character, I click another square. And when I do so, the orc forces place their first character, and they put a orc right there. So how do we get around? It's supposed to be a roguelike, right? So in this case, the next obvious move would be to go here. So I'm going to go ahead and click it. And now I slide over to the next puzzle. And that's how we navigate around. You can collect items like coins. And look for those stairs. Now there's two ways to lose. You can run out of health, which is down here. Or, if you're unlucky and not pay attention to the puzzles, they can get 3 on you. Again, being a freemium model, you can pay the toll to continue or watch an ad. We'll just start the game over. Maybe we'll go to a different tower.
The benefits of not being published just yet.
Exactly. Oh, I guess we'll go to the same tower. Another bug.
What? You found a bug? Live streaming?
Yeah, bugs, they happen. The red traps.
Yes, we love bugs on first look.
Yes. So here we go. Let's hit this trap. Ow, that hurt. And now down here we have items. One of those items I've already packed with me is an antidote. So now I've cleared up the poison. So again, role-playing elements. You can also battle enemies. If you win the battle, you get the square. When you pick up swords, you increase your attack strength. And then shield increases your defense. When you play the game on mobile, you actually have to tap, so it has that little bit of endless tapper feel to it. There's a key, which I can use for treasure chests. I can use items. That didn't do too much, it seems. Hey, look, another bug. Wonderful. Well, luckily, you have the programmer here, so we can actually skip through.
Oh, everybody, look, sneak peek at Fusion.
Yeah, so we'll go to the fire tower instead. And what we're looking at is the frame editor. The frame editor is where we do all our programming. Trying to, for some reason, my bar isn't formatted correctly. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not happy with Windows 10. Are you guys happy with Windows 10?
I'm pleading the fifth.
Okay. There's a Microsoft rep somewhere.
So GGDA says in chat, yay, Fusion 2.5, a first look and a first look.
There you go, right? So Fire Tower, let's go ahead and run it. So I can skip the rest of the stuff and we get right to Fire Tower. Add some particle effects. Now, the Fire Tower has a couple of different things going on in it. Come on, Ooze, get out of here. Now, the reason why the Ooze is much harder is I set some of my global variables for testing, and we actually started on the 11th floor instead of the first floor. So he's going to be a little more difficult to beat. I figured I should show you the shop. Oh, good. So in the shop, we can buy these 2 ice sigils. That's a compass, but I don't really have any room for it down here. And then let's see if we can find... so the ice sigils can be used to freeze monsters. Or, in the fire dungeon, make a lava tile useful.
Cool. I'm loving the sound effects, too, you got going on here. Very retro.
Yeah, that's the feel Tony, my artist, and I decided to go with. So it needed when he decided to do the pixely art style, everything is designed with 4x4 pixels. We decided to go with that retro feel. Also, unfortunately, making retro sounds and retro graphics is a lot easier for an indie developer than trying to make the next 4K high-res Uberfest of a first-person shooter, if you will.
Right.
Not that I'm telling you indie developers not to try. Oop, I ran out of health.
Oh, he died. So we had a question here. What was the hardest part of doing this in Fusion 2.5?
Well, honestly, there isn't for this particular game, and I'm probably an unfair person to ask because I've been using Fusion now for 17 years. I walk into work knowing the ins and outs of Fusion, so I'm able to program pretty effectively around it. Figuring out how I'm going to, I'll show you. So figuring out, so you can hear me talk, I'm going to lower the volume a little bit to 5. So let's look at the ice tower. So I'm going to walk to the border. One of the things I had a hard time figuring out, and it wasn't Fusion that made it hard, it was just a design issue, is I can't make the game endless. It's got to be a defined dungeon. And so we have these walls. And how do I get away from the wall if I make this kind of match, right? Because in this kind of match, when I select where the coin is, I should, again, point in that direction. And it took a while to write an algorithm that would reverse my movement like that. And that's how we get off the walls.
So that probably falls along the lines. One of my favorite questions to ask developers, what was your aha moment while developing this game, or what was the big epiphany?
Well, I mean, I guess the epiphany, if you will, is going from that thought in the bathroom, the bathroom design thought, and sitting down with Fusion and experimenting and doing just that grid movement. Once I figured out that I can make a roguelike while playing Tic Tac Toe, I knew that I might have something unique. Just because you make something unique now doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be commercially successful. I know 2 stories that I've read about Angry Birds. I think there was their 34th or 35th title.
I thought it was 53.
I heard in the 30s, but regardless, okay. Over 50, there was 30 plus failures before they had success.
That's true.
And I'm only 20, so batting average. If this becomes a big success, I guess I'm ahead of the curve. And another cool story is Fusion has made other cool games like Five Nights at Freddy's series is made in Fusion.
That's right. That's right. Yes, everybody. Five Nights at Freddy's was made on this gaming platform, Fusion.
I know Scott via email over the last 10 years. I haven't met him in person yet, but we consistently talk ever since I've worked for ClickTeam. And I remember getting an email from him about 2 weeks before Five Nights at Freddy's exploded in popularity. And this just goes to show that you have no idea if something's going to be a hit or not. He sends me an email basically paraphrasing saying, Chris, I made this game. It's outside my wheelhouse. If you guys want to put it on your asset store and try to sell it, that's fine. I don't know if it's any good. And he's kind of down on himself, because before he made Five Nights at Freddy's, he did 20 plus really cool role-playing games. He has one on Steam called The Desolate Hope, which is a game about a desolate future where you play as a coffee machine. So, he tried a lot of cool things and they didn't work. And, by the time he got to Five Nights, he's just kind of down and, give it a shot, see if it works. I don't know if it's going to make any money, but it sure did. Now he's too busy to talk to anybody because he's got to wrangle in Universal Studios for his movie coming up. So,
Oh, darn.
Having the idea and breathing life into it is part of the formula. You got to also promote it, and you got to have some luck. So maybe I'll have a little luck with this one. That would be great. Anyways, other things the games do. Each tower, we should probably play the whole way through so you can see. There's a lot of developers here, and Tony and I have been really working hard to figure out how to monetize freemium correctly. And it's a real balancing act because you don't want to make freemium that's irritating, if you will. Right?
Tradian says, Tic Tac Tower, the movie coming in theaters in 2019.
If you guys don't know, Tridan is with ClickTeam. He programs our 3D objects. So he's really just in the stream to troll me. So.
Oh, okay. All right. So no giveaways to Tridan.
Yeah. He's just trolling. Plus he gets all the stuff anyways.
All right.
So,
just to plug that in one more time real quick, everybody. If you are tuning in, you need to say something in chat so that you can qualify for some of our giveaways we've got tonight. We've got Paladins giveaways, which is sponsored by High Res Studios here in Atlanta, Georgia. And apparently we've got some Fusion giveaways as well. So say something in chat. Chris, carry on.
I love Jordan. I can troll. Do you even troll, bro? Anyways, here's the armory. You can start the game by going to the armory, and you can add and subtract things to the armory. And we did that to give a little bit of additional strategy to the game, and also to make the expense of your coins not feel like a waste. So every 10 levels, the plan is you can use the portal and go back to the armory and drop stuff off that you bought. Now, that's a design that could actually hurt my revenue generation because I'm making these items semi-permanent, which are supposed to be expendable. A lot of games like this, you'd collect the items, and when the game's over, you die, you lose the items. But again, we're trying to have some good, goodwill with the freemium player by doing that balancing act. You don't ever want to feel like you're forced to spend money to play the game when you're doing freemium. You want people to say, wow, I love this game so much, let me throw a little bit more in so I can get a little extra. So we did that with the armory, and we've got room for more items to be made. The shop is going to be basically like this. So you can spend gems on coins. Gems are rare, but you can find them in the game, but they're pretty rare. And then, of course, the hitch is you can also buy gems. So that's our monetization method. And you may have noticed when we were in the character selection screen, the plan is you can unlock new characters with the gems. Each character has different combat abilities in the game. For instance, Xavier, whenever he swipes towards a direction on the board, if there's a square in the direction that he's swiping, he'll do a very powerful lancing attack. Whereas Xander does light sword attacks whenever he passes by. In the case of Xandra, she has a low attack level, but her daggers are poisoned, so she's constantly has a chance of poisoning monsters as she plays in the grid. Xerxes here has this nice hammer, and he can smash obstacles with the hammer. So the idea is, allow them to play the game completely if they just use our good friend Xandor, but give them additional value for their money should they decide to buy these other characters. Any questions on that?
No, but White Cinnamons believes that he's going to be your next VO for this game.
Oh, is he? All right. Hey, whatever works, right? Not the game, the movie. Get out of here, man. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell. What we should probably do is try to actually play it so you can see a couple levels. I'll try to do that. Hopefully my game doesn't beat me. Is that a sign the game's too hard? I don't know.
When a developer can't beat his own game, ...
That's right. When a developer can't beat his game.org. So what happened here? Another bug. It looks like my random generation for the shop landed right underneath the player. So I automatically went in the shop. That's fine. We'll go ahead and buy some stuff. Let's go try to find that exit. Thanks for the coins. Now, I did rig the levels to a seed generation. So the idea is, as we flesh it more out, that in an update, I will allow players to have the ability to share a dungeon name. We'll take that string and using ASCII convert it into a value, and that value becomes the seed base so that the random generation will output the same random numbers, allowing people to quote-unquote share dungeons.
I was going to ask you about that. How are these levels generated?
So yeah, it's a seed-based random generation. I have another game that I mentioned working on, Bit Odyssey, where it served as a real education on random seed values because the entire game's procedurally generated. Ships, aliens, all that stuff, and learned a lot there. So it's like generating a random grid of level. Became Child's Play, which was good. So yeah, the game beat me already. Not good.
I got a pretty good question here from GGDA himself.
Okay.
How easy was it to implement the coin and add functionality in this game?
That's a great question. Let's have GGDA hold on to that question for 2 seconds. Let me find an exit, show you the next step of the game, and then I'll show you in the code how we do that.
He is holding by his fingertips.
Nice. Well done. Well played, sir. I'm assuming GGDA is actually Mr. Greenberg?
It is.
The
Calling
one
him
and only?
out.
The quintessential?
Oh, is it Mr. Greenberg?
Yeah, I forget he doesn't like the Mr. very much. Spikes. Gotta love spikes. We have a map here so you can keep track of where you've been. Gotta have maps. Oh, there's the stairs. So now I make it to the stairs. I've succeeded in the first level, and I get this. Now here is an optional shop. So the idea again in freemium is give them opportunity to spend money, right? You're collecting all these coins. We need to give them an opportunity to spend it. And originally I just had the shop randomly appearing in the dungeon, but as we were playing it and doing balancing, we're like, no, we got to give them more opportunity to spend money. So now you can go into the shop, which apparently I totally didn't hit the right button. So had I gone into the shop correctly, you would have gotten one of these two rooms. You would have got an actual shop, or you would have got the chest room where you can pick a chest for free and then spend coins to continue opening chests. So that wasn't a really good deal, and then the price goes up. The idea is to find the gem because there'll be a gem in one of these chests. Yeah, so it's I would say one of the very first companies that did an excellent job of mapping this out was our, we like to say, good friends that created all the Farmville games. If you ever study the history of, what's the name of the studio? The Two-Headed Dog studio. Anybody remember the studio's name for Farmville?
Farmville. All right. Hey, first one to answer this question. I'll give you a paladin skin.
You.
Repeat your question.
Who created the game Farmville?
Who created the game Farmville?
Zynga. Sorry, you guys too slow.
No, GGDA answered it right before you did.
Oh, good job. So anyways, the cool thing that I've discovered about Zynga when researching them is the game's mostly, the studio's mostly made up of statisticians. They didn't design from a gameplay standpoint. They designed from a statistics standpoint because they knew the game was going to be free and they wanted to encourage you while waiting in the extremely cramped line at your local Walmart to grab one of those Farmville cards and spend $20 to help build your farm. So, you have to, in your freemium design, try to figure out how to encourage the spending of the currencies that you create without it making it seem like you're forcing them to. So we hope that this shop method works. One of the other special rooms we're going to have in between floors, again, every 10th floor, you have access to your armory through a portal, a magic portal.
Now, even though you're driving to create sales, of course, but you still got to make your game playable for those who just absolutely refuse.
Right, exactly. And the game will be completely playable. Tony and I do not believe in creating any kind of timers or roadblocks. I think that's the ugly side of freemium, the extremely ugly side of freemium. So I think a really good example of freemium would be the guy who created Crossy Roads. Good guy, Andrew Sum. He actually is a Fusion user in the past. He made a game called Fairy Solitaire and Dungeon something. Believe it or not, Crossy Roads was his first game in Unity. So again, you never know when pay dirt's going to hit. But in that game, there's no paywall, as Jordan's saying. He loves them. What's wrong with you, Jordan? But the idea was get the more value for each new character that they get. And to get new characters, you had to earn the coins or shortcut and spend money. So, and they made a lot of money when it first came out, and I'm sure it's still generating revenue now. So, it is definitely a interesting struggle. Now, to answer Andrew's question, I'm going to see if I can show you an example of something else I'm working on. Hopefully this one has it in it. And it does not, so let me close it. I'm doing a additional app for another client. It's a cancer society.
Careful, don't break your NDAs.
Oh, no, there's no NDA.
Okay.
It's a nonprofit, and they're going to be like, oh, thanks for promoting the game.
Okay.
It's called the Josh Farley Foundation, and they what they do is for the Kern County Valley area, which is where Bakersfield is. We don't have much in the way of good cancer treatment out here, so you have to go to LA, and that's an expense. So the foundation helps disadvantaged folks get in there and have access to those funds. I actually attached them to our last Humble Bundle for ClickTeam, and they drew in quite a bit of money. So that's good. But they paid me to make this game. And so GG8A, a.k.a. Andrew, if we look here in the code, you'll see I have an in-app button, an in-app object for Android. We have one similar for iOS. You have to have a public key, which you see here. That's generated in the developer portal. That ties your specific app to these specific transactions. And then you go in here and you got to first query your inventory, which you set up, again, in the developer portal on Google. You do the same thing in iOS. And then once you have the inventory, you store it. I'm storing it in a list object, which you see here. And then I have the ability to buy here. So that would be buying one. And then I set the payload string, which is set up previously. And then I pass the SKU and the product ID to the app. And then I got to wait because it's asynchronous. And once I get an OK, I then say, let me consume that product, because Google does it a little differently. You can have, in the same product type, you can have consumable or static products. Static product is, I buy this character and I keep it. And those are the ones that you have to restore if you put the app on something else. And then, of course, consumables are consumables. Google doesn't really differentiate those much, and I have to actually consume them, which I thought was kind of silly, but it's Google who might argue. So consume it, and then once it's consumed, I tell Google, hey, I consumed it so I can buy another one, and then I add it to my inventory right here. GGDA, does that answer the question effectively?
We'll wait for him.
Yep.
In the meantime, it is kind of a shame that Google doesn't really allow like game codes or promo codes for any one individual. You have to get the only thing you could really do is like buy a game card, or I'm sorry, like a Google Play card. But one of these one of these days, hopefully Google will hop along that train. GGDA, you had your question answered just now. So even though you just sent me a message, just letting you know. Hope you caught it. If not, you can always watch this video again in the VOD and get your answer.
Exactly.
But this is very, very nice. Like all of this functionality within Fusion, there's no scripting involved whatsoever here.
Yeah, good point, True Dan. I shouldn't have shown that, but whatever. Whoever in here wants to hack a charity, probably flush yourself down the toilet anyways. Any other questions so far? Is anything else?
No, that's about all the questions so far. Maybe show us some of the harder parts of the game, or I don't know, play the game some more. We got some more time. Let's play.
Let's do it. Let's do a let's play. Oh, wrong game. Get out of here. All right. All right. Well, here we go, Sir Xandor. So Gwinnett Girl's asking.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to pipe that in. Go ahead.
When you get feedback from fans, how much influences the gameplay or further development of what you build in the future? That's an excellent question. Over the summer, seeing that my last programming job promoted me to independent developer recently, I decided to teach some game development classes here locally in Bakersfield. And one thing we talk about is good design documentation.
Thank you. Go, please carry on.
Okay. So, good design documentation. And one thing that you have to do with a design document, which is also called a living document, is when you get that feedback from fans or those Steam users who like to pretend they're fans but really just trolling the hell out of you, you need to take all of that information in. These are our babies when we make these things, and we can get really protective of them. But there are no bad ideas in game development. They're just ideas. And what I personally do and what I teach people to do in the class is to write all of it down. Write all of it down. Have a section where people's ideas, people's feedback, because, right now in the development cycle, that idea may not fit. But as I move forward in the development cycle, things may change, things may modify, that may make those ideas actually work. So I try to be personally very mindful of that feedback, document it, and keep track of it, because you never know when it becomes invaluable. And then there are times when I'll look at it and say, thank you for the feedback. We'll take it into consideration. But in my mind, I'm like, there's no way that's going to work in the game. But I'll still document it because, again, game development, it's a living project, and you got to be mindful of all the changes and ebbs and flows that happen. Does that answer the question pretty good? Or
yeah, I can't stop. I also teach game design and game development as well, and that's one of my biggest things is the game design document. It will save your life if you're trying to develop a game. So thank you again for mentioning that. I appreciate everybody that we ever talk to here on the GDDA channel when they discuss their game documentation, because believe it or not, there's a ton of documentation going on within any game.
A good example, two good examples of documentation that I've experienced. One was reading about James Cameron and Avatar. He makes that, we've all probably seen Avatar. In the beginning of the movie, maybe 45 seconds worth, we see that spaceship bring John Sully to Pandora. And it's long and it comes into orbit and, it looks great. But you really only see it for maybe 30, 45 seconds worth of film, right? What I find interesting is James Cameron wrote about a 120-page document on that one ship. Now, do we need all that information? Probably not, but all of it serves to be informative to the artists, the riggers, the designers, the modelers as they design the ship. So that detail really helps inform everyone. Another good example actually comes from Andrew Greenberg when we were working on Noble Armada, and he gave me literally 62 pages of history that he typed out of the the Fading Suns universe and several actual playbooks of the RPG. So he, exercising that proper method of information is to say, here's everything that you could think about this universe, which in turn helped me make good design decisions, which made the artist make good design decisions. The artist was able to quickly pick up that the Fading Suns universe is got that, a lot of people attribute it to Star Wars, that aged universe look. Everything's rusted, everything is old, everything's dilapidated. So, yeah, very good, important thing about documentation.
There was another question that came up. What drove your decisions on how characters could advance in Tic Tac Tower?
So I guess I'd have to ask that person, what do you mean advance? Like move around or?
Okay. Are there any areas that stood out as most important, say damage to hit points to etc.?
Okay, so I think he's talking about the RPG side of the world's first Tic Tac Toe RPG. Once I decided it was going to have that roguelike movement and was going to have RPG elements, I had to go through the active balancing and then naturally the progression to have health and then the progression to add experience. Being it's mobile, I didn't want to bog it down with too many factors. I didn't want to Dungeons and Dragons the heck out of the RPG elements. So that's why if you look at the bottom of the corner, we got weapon strength and armor strength slightly below it and health. And those are the primary two factors. I do have speed of hit and speed of defense in the background that determine the accuracy of you taking hits, defending them, and the speed of which you attack back. But those are really just multipliers of the other variables. So, I decided how I wanted to do it as far as the baseline. I want these few values to affect the character's stats. But then it's really a balancing act, figuring out how to make it work right. What is the scale of the life? Do I go with, 10 to 1 hearts, or do I do 100 scale? What are the enemy scales like? And you're experimenting until you get it right.
All right, got another question that popped up. Jordan Peralta, I'm terrible at pronouncing names, so forgive me, Jordan, asks, what other games have you made? Can you also say what games in the past influenced this one?
Ooh, well, nothing really influenced this game except the Bakersfield Airport restroom. But I can show you some other games that have been strongly influenced. Here we go. So let me pull up Steam. Okay, let's go to games. And let's go to favorites. So, Bid Odyssey. My very first game I ever bought was called Starflight by a studio called Binary Systems. I was amazed by what they did. They created the space exploration game. You should look it up online. In the early 80s, they fit an entire universe of star systems and races and stuff on 2 floppy disks. And even then I thought, that's pretty amazing. It's even more amazing now that we're resource rich when it comes to memory and space and processor. But at the time, I mean, oh my gosh, I'm landing on planets, I'm talking to races, And I wanted to make something similar to that. So I made Bit Odyssey, which is completely procedurally generated. So this is an early access on Steam. I've yet to finish it. I'll explain where I need to finish it in a second, if the game will continue.
I wonder how many of our viewers actually know what a floppy disk is.
That's a great question. So it seems to be freezing on me. I think it's because of this computer's doing too much. So I'll try it one more time.
Yeah, what do you know? GGA just made a good point. Look at that, folks. We got another first look here tonight. So that's 3 first looks in one night.
Nice. So, yeah, Bit Odyssey, I wanted to... I'm sure all of you have heard of No Man's Sky.
Oh, yes, we have.
Yeah, so I wanted to... Before No Man's Sky was a thing, I was working on this. I wanted to make a game that created itself. So let's just take a small trip. Go Odyssey, select a star system. So that star system, based on a seed value and an array, has generated this this system I can be from. And I can pick my home world. I'm liking that one. This avatar right here is procedurally generated using a bisectional algorithm. So I create half and then I mirror the other half. I can change it to whatever I want. Randomly generated over and over, different avatars. That looks very distinguished. Let's go with that. And then I can select type of government, which affects these stats. Then I have a random race generator, or you can type in your own. That sounds fun. Let's go with that. Oh, I messed up. We'll just go with that then. Then we have the ship generator. This is the bread and butter. So it procedurally generated this first ship. You can change the color, or you can randomly generate new ships. Now, someone asked me earlier about feedback. At my last job, it was a 2-man job. We were writing data collection apps. And Damone is his name. He's a great server programmer, web programmer, and he's a great tester. He loves to test my games. He loves science fiction. But, man, I hate it when he talks because I make this really cool procedural generator. And he's like, wow, that's really awesome, Chris. That's great. But then he says, would it be cool if it could do X? And I'm like, oh, Damone, really? So then I had to spend another couple of weeks making it so that you could actually adjust the ship pieces yourself and make your own ship. So we'll just go with that. Yeah, feature creep, exactly.
Yep.
Procedurally generated weapons. So that's a beam weapon, but I could cut down the frequency, the apertures, increase the beam length, fire again. I get something slightly different. Maybe I'd add to the charge time and then use that extra point to add to the movement speed. Oh, I messed up. But anyways, that would shoot it. Now I got torpedoes. You can do the same thing to torpedoes. Finally, name your ship. And then registration's complete. Then the same thing to name your crew. These are all actually procedurally generated names based on submissions from my Kickstarter campaign. J.G. Fenwick. What a hero. Registration's complete. Then we have a kind of a Star Trek-like intro.
Actually, this is not a bad question, White Cinnamons. This is a question that gets asked often and frequently. In every game for my own testimony here, every game has its own timeline or different lifestyle. But White Cinnamons asks, he thinks it's a dumb question, but it's not. How long does it take to make a game, something like this?
Well, Well, in this particular game, I'm really leveraging all my experience of Fusion and all my years of game development, and so for someone who doesn't have video game experience, this would be a difficult game to do because no matter how easy Fusion itself makes programming, which makes it super easy. And if you're new to game development, check the stream out Thursday. But in this particular game, I'm having to actually write algorithms that generate the content, and that's difficult. I'm stuck on now, everything works great. The game's pretty bug-free when it comes to the individual gameplay components. But the one thing I'm trying to do that was in the plan from the start that No Man's Sky unfortunately failed to do was deliver actual game content, right? No Man's Sky is great in making wonderful-looking worlds and traveling around, but there's no story. There's no real plot. So what I did is I spent an enormous amount of time watching every type of science fiction show you can think of and writing down all the science fiction tropes. I've broken those tropes down into modules, and what the last procedural generation algorithm does is stream all those, a set number of those modules or tropes together to form a quote-unquote episode. So right here is the start. It's a trigger, and it's telling me there's an incoming message from command, and I can accept this procedurally generated mission by selecting yes. We've detected a strange reading coming from a nearby planet. We need you to investigate. So the trope here is the old signal detected. How many science fiction shows have you watched with signal detections? Procedurally generated title. That one needs a little work with casket. That doesn't sound very, very good. So then the next module is to find the planet, and this we use a routine that points to where we're supposed to go. So we'll engage our drive.
So I guess to kind of bounce the question a little bit, how long does it take to make a game? No matter what is it something like Paladins or Smite or let's step backwards a little bit. My game, Egg Defender, Noble Armada, your game. I mean, there's different factors that can take place on how long does it actually take to make a game. How many people do you have on your team? What are their skill sets? And what is your personal timeline in order to make a game? For instance, Egg Defender, the first prototype for Egg Defender, and I'll throw a link here in just a second. Yes, I'm going to plug my own game here in just a second. We developed it, the prototype at a game jam. So we developed it in 48 hours, and it was a team of four of us. But before we actually published it and went to mobile, that took about a year. So, and again, it was just a team of four of us at start. But when we decided to go to mobile, I increased the team to roughly about 6 to 8. And still, it took us about a year. And even then, at the deadline that we had placed for us by the CDC, we started running into bugs and serious crashes because somebody broke the golden rule of game development, which is you never update a software that you're using during production.
Right.
Yeah, somebody did an update, and suddenly nobody could make an export for an APK file, in order to get into Google. But anyways, every game is its own different story. I mean, you think of like huge companies like Supercell or High Res Studio here in Georgia, or even Tripwire. I mean, you got people, from 10 people to 50 to thousands, depending on how big the game studio is. So yeah, it just depends. There's so many different factors, but it's also a lot of it is what is your personal goal in being able to publish your game? What is your own personal deadline? So to spin that question around, how long did it take you, and did you have any teammates working with you on Tic Tac Tower, or even some of your other games like Noble Armada?
So Tic Tac Tower, rapid development. My artist that I deployed for Tic Tac Tower, I've worked with him on a game of his called Room 13. Talented artist, talented programmer. He really liked the idea. He jumped on board. And this whole game should be done using part-time hours, which GGDA just mentioned that hours is more important than months. We hope to have it done in a couple more months. So probably total hours would be in weeks, 3 or 4 weeks worth of time, but I'm not able to work on it full time. And then in the case of Bit Odyssey, it's really one programmer because I didn't need an artist. One of my artists actually did the cover art, but that's about it. And I hired a musician with piecemeal pay for the music tracks. But the majority of the work's done by myself. And it's taken years to finish this because I really was tackling concepts that are difficult no matter what platform you use. Some of my other games like Necromonades, a shooter, this one here, I did in 3 weeks worth of time. I remember playing Defender, and I just wanted to really make a Defender clone. So we made this one. And we had to include an 80s trailer. But in this particular game, you is by the screenshot, you just fly around like Defender, shoot the aliens. Aliens abduct the humans, but they also then drop them and poison them, so they become they become necromonades, and then they spread the infection. The objective of each level is to get everybody to the bunkers before the infection spreads. And if you see up here at the top, that's the white bar. Blue is how many people you saved. Red is how many you've get infected, and you want to get the blue past here. And then you go to the next level. So there's that one. That took literally about 3 weeks to do, maybe a little polish. Quaddle took a couple months to do. Quaddle is a puzzle game. I went to GGDA. I'm not GGDA. So many acronyms. GDC 2 years ago, and I played Qbert. And while playing Qbert, I had another epiphany. I said, Qbert's great and all, but what if we added a different mechanic? That mechanic being, instead of monsters, make the platforms disappear. So the challenge here is, if I'm not careful, I can get stuck. And the objective is to get rid of all the bricks.
That's cool. Did have another question pop up. You mentioned Kickstarter when demonstrating Bit Odyssey. How was the crowdfunding influence, an increase, or alternatively supported the game monetization in your games and game development?
Well, Bit Odyssey started out as an idea. Then, I decided to push it forward, and I needed a little bit of funds to get some new equipment to continue development. So I had a low target level. I think it was around $2,000. And, the idea caught on enough, and I was coming in on the tail end of the Kickstarter rush, and ended up raising close to $12,000.
Nice.
And all of the users that have funded on Kickstarter, I take their input seriously because they've already put their money where their mouth is. And that's why I haven't quit finishing the game, even though if this had been any other project that wasn't Kickstarter, I might have said, you know what, this is a bit overwhelming. Let me take a break. But I won't with Bit Odyssey because people have already paid for it. It was a good experience. It maintains itself as a good experience. But just remember, if you Kickstarter something, the heat is on. You owe those people a finished product. So, it's a good thing, but it's a stressful thing. And yes, it does inform my design because these are people that have already paid for it. So their opinion and their desires weigh a little bit more than someone who's just on the internet, wanting to tell you that your game blows or whatever, blows with a Z, or whatever other garbage the internet decides to produce.
We can always count on the internet to produce more garbage.
Yes, the internet is the Wild West.
We're looking at 8 o'clock right now. So I'm going to give our viewers just one last chance. If they have any last second questions, pop them in. What has been your favorite game to develop in Fusion?
Oh boy. It's probably, I don't know. I love them all. They're all my children.
Yeah, exactly.
I love Quaddle. I'd say I'm most proud of Tic Tac Tower because it truly is a unique idea. It's not me. All of these have roots in other games that I loved as a kid. They're totally different, but they have their roots. Where Tic Tac Tower is pretty unique. So I'd probably say Tic Tac Tower. I also love VTA. It was my first real big commercial success, and I did some cool things in that. It's a 4X. It's a casual 4X strategy game.
Right on.
The
All
job
right.
with Amber, so
Quaddle, that I didn't know that existed, so I'm gonna have to go get it now. And Tic Tac Tower, of course, when it comes out. So, I look forward to talking to you in just a couple more days as you discuss Fusion with your future. I'm gonna learn how to talk here in just a second. I promise. Your workshop in Fusion.
right.
Yeah, let's go ahead and see your pretty face. Make sure everybody's tired of looking at me.
All right.
Make
Oh,
sure that the voice behind the box is real. It's a real person.
Okay. Let me see if I can figure that out.
Quit sharing your screen.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey,
so
that's me. Look at that. You can see three of me. In the meantime, hey, there we go, Mr. Carson himself. Hey, Chris. Very good, very good. All right, everybody. And Chris, thank you so much for tonight's stream. It's been great. It's been awesome. Can't wait to check out. Please keep us in touch with how your Tic Tac Tower's progress and everything. And for all of our viewers, be sure to hang in there. Hang on, I gotta speak. I gotta talk. I gotta run my mouth for a minute before we give away some Paladins giveaways and possibly Fusion giveaways. In the meantime, all right, GGDA, that's right, the Georgia Game Developers Association. We are a nonprofit organization. We have a Patreon. Your support will help us with efforts to improve game developers and their community, as well as helping bring the better games to life, such as all the first looks that we got tonight from Chris. That was awesome. We got more than we bargained for. All right, our stream is for gamers looking to learn more about what goes into making their favorite games. It's also for designers looking to break in, and for experienced designers looking to improve their skills. Thank you, GGDA, for putting up the Patreon link. And moving right along, as I just mentioned a second ago, in just a couple of days, on August 3rd, you get to see Mr. Chris Carson here again with his ClickTeam Fusion training. So during our Unity training that we had earlier, a number of people have asked us for game engine tutorial aimed at new developers. So the fine people at ClickTeam have offered to conduct a special training for their free Fusion 2.5 engine, which is the games that we were looking at today. Come check out arguably the fastest way to develop 2D games and apps platform like Windows, iOS, and Android, and more as we introduce you to the power of ClickTeam Fusion. Look at there. Cool. You guys making shirts like that too? Can I get one?
Maybe, yeah.
Okay. All right. Coming up next, if you are here in Atlanta for the first weekend of October, you should look into participating in SiegeCon, Southern Interactive Entertainment Gaming Expo. I'll get it right eventually. We have a keynote speaker. He is going to be Jesse Schell. If you know anything about game design and game development, you are going to know that name. If you don't, where have you been? Go look it up. Look it up now. All right. Moving on. GGDA, as I mentioned, we are a nonprofit organization, and we do have some merchandise. We have T-shirts. We have coffee cups. We have so much other stuff that's really good for you and your game development career. It will boost you. Promise. You wear the GGDA shirt, you're going to get extra boost with your game in its development stage. So check out our Cafe Press. The next meeting of GGDA here in Atlanta is going to be August 8th, next week. From 1 week from today. This is going to be 22 Tech Park. That gaming studio got removed on me. All right, but the topic: every game studio, no matter how successful, was once a startup. Many fall by the wayside, often without releasing a single game. So what are the qualities that make a studio a success? More importantly, how can you ensure that yours is going to be one of them? So join our panel of industry insiders and experts as we go over the factors that can lead a studio to success. And as you may notice, all these videos that you see here live stream on the GGDA is available on YouTube as well. So follow our channel, follow us. Be sure to follow us here on Beam, but also follow us on the YouTube channel. And please check us out. If you like games, if you like game development, that's what we're here for. And also, I'm going to mispronounce this. I know I am. Antlion Audio. We've got to give them a special shout out. Thank you so much for your donation and help with our upcoming gel. Is that right? Yeah, that was right. What is this that you're highlighting here? Promo 10% off all mod mics and Antlion accessories if you use the code capitalized GGDA. That's pretty cool. You're going to see their commercial here in just a second. I'm going to throw you some more commercials. Again, Chris Carson, thank you so much for your time tonight, and we will see you again in just a couple of days. Everybody else, I need to do a drawing, don't I? I'm going to break my own rules. All right, Paladins. Do we have any Paladins players on there? I don't know, but I'm going to do a giveaway. Here we go. Giveaway right now. 3, 2, 1. Giveaway goes to GGDA. You're DQ'd. You don't count. Let's try it again. 3, 2, 1. Georgian Wolf. All right. Georgian Wolf, you are going to be, I'm going to issue you some 400 crystals for Paladins. I will whisper that to you here shortly. And so give me just a moment, folks, while I get that prepared and ready. But Georgia Wolf, hang out in chat. I will pass that along. Next, Chris, you want to give away a fusion code? Yeah?
Yes.
All right, sure. Please, yes. Fusion code 2.5, the standard version, right? Not just the free version. You get so much more. I'm going to do another giveaway for this right now. Cross your fingers. Hopefully that is you. And it goes to... Oh, my God.
We're on this algorithm.
You sitting there saying, yeah, he's hoping he wins. No, guess what? You got DQ'd earlier for trolling us. So let's try it one more time. I love doing giveaways, especially when they don't work. Jordan. All right, cool. Jordan, I will whisper you the next credits coming up. So everybody else, thank you once again for tuning in tonight. Chris, thank you. And everybody else, have a good night.
Thank you for your interest in the Georgia Game Developers Association's Patreon campaign. The Georgia Game Developers Association is a nonprofit that focuses on educating both game developers and fans on what is involved in making great games. For years we have put on live events to do just that, attracting some of the greatest thinkers in game development to share their secrets. Recently, we began our live streaming channel on Mixer to expand our ability to reach those developers and gamers far beyond our state. We have seen some initial success, but we are also hearing a lot of requests for more. More workshops, more in-depth interviews, more first looks at indie games, more giveaways, and more great streams. Your support will allow us to do just that. Even at starting levels, we both recognize your support and seek your input on what to stream. At higher levels, you can actually help shape our content, gaining priority access to our speakers, the chance to share announcements, and, at the highest level, running ads and promotions for all our viewers to see. So join now to get the inside scoop on game development and to help shape one of the best game dev channels on the net.
Are you tired of your streams or voice chats sounding like this?
Do you want the comfort and quality of high-end headphones without sacrificing microphone quality? Antlion's Mod Mic 5 is the perfect solution. Their dual capsule microphone attaches easily and securely to your existing headphones and fits in any setup thanks to the modular cable system. It comes with a cable wrap to protect an optional inline mute switch and sound a little something like this. The link in the video to learn more.